as a teammate, I was a young girl when I met him for the first time. He was already a legend and a fantastic palmarès, and he considered me, the same level, sharing the same technical information, everything, as equal. And of course, what is, we spend so much time all together, the two cars, together. And that time we had a lot of practice and so a lot of good time, enjoying very much life. I learned also left foot braking with him the first time before Monte Carlo 81. And then I also learned to play golf with him in Kenya because we have time to rest. He was not, he didn't like to practice too many times. So we had very, very good time. So for me, he's first a friend, somebody you keep in contact with, and I am really sad for the family because it's a fantastic family. The two sons are great, and his wife, I'm sure it will be very, very difficult for her also. And Hannu is a great person that nobody will forget for sure. The only point where we were not equal is that he didn't like party because at 9 o'clock he was in bed and I like party very much. So it's the only point where we were not along together, but otherwise he was a great person, and really I am very lucky and fortunate I met him at that time.
He became champion the year I was born, so it's quite some generation behind, but for sure it's this kind of name which sounds like immediately like yeah, it's a legend for motorsport, so when you hear these names you always have a lot of respect, and yeah, of course I was sad to hear this news today. It's sad for the whole rally sport for sure, and yeah, in this moment you just feel for his family and friends. I've seen this footage sometimes from the past, and yeah, what these guys have achieved was also a proper adventure and something very heroic. So yeah, always gonna have respect for Hannu and all the drivers from this generation.
I was thinking yesterday when I read about the news, and then this morning confirmed that has been for me a very gentleman driver, very different from the other Finnish with whom I was working with, and for me he's Audi, Mr. Audi, because I started to follow rally when he debuted with the Audi Quattro, and for me was the magic he was doing with this car that was really impressing me, and it was a bit, let me use the word enemy in those days with Lancia, with the things, and it's always been impressive for me. And then if you see he won with every car, he was so competitive, so gentleman. I will have impressed for all the rest of my life how he was calm before the start of one stage in Thousand Lake 83. They were working on the car that has misfire problem, and instead to be agitated, he was seated waiting that the problem would be fixed, and he won the rally again, catching up. So I think he's the Finnish driver. I met him last time in 2007 in 1000 Rally, when we were there with Marco. It was him, it was Timo, and for me to have a dinner with all of them was like a dream, and I will bring with me this memory of him.
We have to say, I think everybody knows, but there's no question that Hannu was the best driver in a Ford Escort. There's no question. He was just such a class act, but he was a gentleman as well, and we had many great times together. But just to show you how helpful and everything it was. In the first time I came to do Rally Finland in 1986, I went to his house and he gave me pace notes for some of the classic stages. Because of course I'd never been here before, and just to really understand what the pace notes were about for such a high-speed event. He actually came to see me in the hospital after I had my big crash back on the Scottish in 1980 when we were both in a big battle for the lead. You just need to watch some of the old footage of British Championship events and see how the lines and everything that he took in an Escort. to be honest, that was the pinnacle of, to be honest, in my book, that was the pinnacle of British rallying. You know, you would have Hannu come, you'd have Bjorn, you'd have Ari, you'd have Stig Blomqvist, Per Eklund. But to be honest, Hannu was the master of them all in the UK for us. I think as well, if you look at how old he was when he was retired, I mean, you need to check, but I think when he retired from driving with Mazda, I think he was actually, if I'm not mistaken, he was 50 or just over. And you know, he could still be competitive at that sort of age, and that is something that obviously you don't see now.
For me, Hannu Mikkola is like London Mexico Rally and with this Mark 1 Escort. Like that's which kind of that picture comes to my mind when I think about him, and it's really sad news what we heard this morning. But you know, for me, incredible career, and at that time when he was driving, for me it's one of the most beautiful times of rallying. All those years when he was involved with rally, he went through so many different categories, then coming to Group B and driving first with Escorts and Toyotas and Volvos early in his career, then kind of somehow for me molding rallying into what it is nowadays when Toyota came with four-wheel drive, and he was kind of building, and it changed the whole world of rallying in a way. So he's been a big part of rallying as we see it right now. I really wish I could have been that lucky to be driver in that time as well and experience how it was back then, because rallying has changed so much, and it was more wild and more free, and there was more cars involved in rallying and all types of cars as well. So you know, he's been having a wonderful career and life in rallying.
I'm very happy that I was able to meet Hannu in Rally Deutschland in 2014 when Volkswagen had invited Finnish champions to be guests in the event, and it was really nice to talk with him. Great guy and a real gentleman. And what I remember from Hannu, you know, watching the old rally videos, and you know, he was making amazing carry. He started already from the 60s. He finished his carry in basically 1993 when he was 50 years old. So he has done the longest WRC carry of any of the drivers. And of course he was very iconic with the Audi. You know, he came with the turbo car with the four-wheel drive, and he was part of that development work which changed the rally world. And when we all remember this Audi time and Hannu on the wheel of Audi. It was in 1985, Rally Thousand Lakes, when he basically the first stage it was raining very, very heavily, and he rolled the car against the trees, but the trees bounced back the car, so he was back on the wheels, carry on. He lost the rear spoilers and everything part of the car. Then he started to, at the time when you had servicing cars between the stages, you know, they were trying to fit new panels and making car better and better. And I think then there was the Onin-Pohja stage. And Hannu has himself said that when he did that Onin-Pohja, he said his feeling was that he was flying. You know, sometimes you felt like the wheels are not touching to the ground, they are not coming back to the ground, that he was going so well. I think in 1985, with the Group B Audi, with the S1, with all these wings and everything, he was on really a mission after that mistake what happened on the first stage. But then, unfortunately, I think the car broke down later. But that performance was, I think, the level where he was pushing himself the more than ever.